thank you so much for talking to me today. These are some of the best films ever made. So I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, and something I've been dying to ask is I think a lot of people forget that all three Lord of the Rings films were shot at the same time. And I know you guys went back and did pickups, but I was just curious what your perspective was for that, because they were not the Oscar winning box office bonanzas yet. And yet you were filming all three of them at once.
Well, I think it made them better. I think the fact is we always look at it as one. I mean, I don't know but it's one story. So, I think for Tolkien publishing them and for readers, it's nice to have chapter breaks. It's nice to have the books separated into 3 books. But I honestly couldn't remember, and it may have been because it changed, where one film stopped and the next film started. I think it was when I knew certain things, like I knew the canoe, when Frodo and Sam go off on their own at the end of the first film, that scene wasn't written until well into the production, like well into the production. And Peter and Fran and Philippa, Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, they wanted Elijah and I to come and have like a meeting with them. And we were like, well, this is new. Okay, we'll have a meeting with you. We met at a restaurant and they presented us with the pages of that scene, the like page and a half of that scene. And Elijah and I mean, are we getting fired? Like, you didn't know what was going on. So we read it and you see what they discovered. I made a promise, Mr. Frodo, don't you leave, to Mr. Gandalf, or whatever, don't you leave him Samwise Gamgee, and I don't mean to, like that little scene. So then I knew what the end of the first movie was. But like before that, I would know where we were in the movie by looking down at my clothes. If my clothes were really, really dirty and torn, like this one particular tear in the jacket, I'd know we were definitely past the point of this particular thing, right? Like the scripts were like this, and every day we would get new pages, with small changes, big changes, prop changes, location changes, whatever. And, you tried to read them, but at a certain point, there's just too much. There's like this much script, so you're just like, let me just see what the sides are the next day. Okay, I'm walking across the Shire. We're walking across Mordor. We're walking somewhere, we'll see what's happening when we're walking tomorrow. What do you want me to do tomorrow when we're walking? But I think that after the first film came out, we went back to and it was so successful, we went back to do pickups for the second film. It was very encumbered. It would just be impossible not to be.
Yeah.
You've been in every talk show. You've been to all the award shows. You've been on every newspaper. You've been in, the movies had made movie made $1 billion. Everywhere you went, you're recognizable. Like all of a sudden, it was different. So, and then when you're there to like strip that away and get back to the thing that's real and get back to the thing that's Gardner, get back to the thing that's, honest and that's good. But I think, doing 3 films, I mean, it's a little terrifying to think that if the first film would have been done as its own film and they would have waited to see if it was successful, and then they would have decided to go back, they would have known exactly what they wanted to go through. So you probably could have done it in 3 months as opposed to 2 years, right? That there were so many things that we filmed that never ended up in the movie, and on the one hand, you're like, and it was exhausting, I think all of that, there's things that you can't plan for. There's things you can't explain. There's things that gravity and time affect. And that's what I think really added to the level of realism of the trilogy. So I'm glad it played out the way it did.
Yeah, there's a magic to it. But I mean, to that point, you're exhausted when you're making the films before they come out. At what point did you know, like, we did it, like we made it? Was it the premiere of Fellowship? Was it at a certain point during production? Like, when did you realize that it clicked and you guys had something really special?
The Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
Which I think was May. I don't know exactly months, but it was, 6, 8 months, 7 months, somewhere in there, before the release. and nothing was the same after that.
Yeah.
You knew it was a big deal that you were going. We were going to stay, at the Hotel Martinez. We were going to, it was just going to be this massive thing. And when you got there and you're like at the same restaurant with Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese and, and the world's press, and everywhere you go, it's like, it just became a carnival of sorts, a cinema explosion of whatever. And then you saw the footage. We went in and we watched with the world's media. It was really the first time I think most of the actors had seen. No, you know what? It was before that. It was actually before that. It was Christmas time. It was Christmas time 2000. It was Christmas time 2000 when Mark Ordesky had showed us a compilation, a collection of scenes, like a little sizzle reel.
Yeah.
And I got a copy of it and brought it home and like showed it to my brother-in-law, and and we would watch it over and over again. And on my big screen in Los Angeles, and we watch it, and I was like, this is real. This is legit. I know so the first real footage I remember seeing was of the top of the mountain where we're depicting after the Balrog has defeated or is in the process of defeating Gandalf.
Yeah.
And we're out on the top of the mountain crying, and we'd flown up there in helicopters, and they filmed it in slow motion. I remember it was Peter Jackson's birthday, and we were at his home down in Queenstown, at the bottom of the South Island. And we came in, and Mark Ordesky again was like, "Do you want to see something?" He showed us that sequence. So that was even before Christmas. And when you saw that, you were like, "Oh my God, this is so good." This is just the quality of the Andrew Lesnie, the late great cinematographer Andrew Lesnie, like the way he captured that moment. And we all looked like real, it looked credible. The size of the hobbits relative to the dwarf, relative to the humans, relative to the elf, like it didn't look hokey. So I don't know. Well, you never know until after it comes out.
Yeah. It all worked out in the end. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
Take care.